been happening between now and in the past few weeks when the party, the APC, seems to be getting itself ready for the official flag? But the APC is part of those parties that started at this period. All the parties have begun their campaign. There are a lot of issues that have been raised, and there's been a lot of debate online and offline about the candidate and the state of the race. Let's discuss some of these issues that have been thrown up. I'm being joined by one of the chieftains of the APC and one of the directors of the Strategic Planning Committee, and of course the Major Communications Directorate of the APC, Chief Fani-Kayode, our former Minister of Aviation. Thank you so much indeed for coming on tonight.
Thank you very much.
Your party is starting off tomorrow.
Yes.
In Jos.
Indeed.
Jos is very notable for a lot of campaigns, a lot of political party primaries. Why the choice of Jos for the flag of your campaign?
Well, I think it's a very, very strategic choice, a very strategic location, more or less in the center of the country, a state that has so many different people, different religions, different backgrounds from all the surrounding states. People come and settle in Jos, and indeed are people of the plateau. So it's quite a mix, and I think it's an appropriate choice to make. And of course, historically as well, it's an appropriate choice to make. And of course, our DG happens to be from Jos. He happens to be the governor of Plateau State. And I think that's also one of the factors. But most importantly, I think the people of Plateau State deserve this great honor. It's an honor to go there and to be there for us and for our candidate, and it's an honor for them to be the first, to be the ones to flag off what will be a very, very, very long and rigorous and hopefully wonderful presidential campaign.
So the North Central has always been a swing state in most of our elections. Yes. This is the state where after different political parties have held on to their strongholds. At some point, you wait for the North Central state where you find, and the North Central state have always been very dynamic, also very interesting, multi-cultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, and so it gives that sense of bend in whatever political divide that you may belong. What is the hope of your party in the North Central state? It has always determined who becomes Nigeria's president.
Well, I think that we're going to do very, very well in the North Central states. I mean, if you talk about states like Kogi, where we have a governor that's like, you know, he's an engine room. He's going to ensure that we do exceptionally well. They're a very popular governor, and he's done very, very well. That's Yaya Bello. We'll do very well in Kogi State. I believe we'll do well in Nasarawa. I believe where our national chairman comes from, and another excellent governor that we have there that's done well, Governor Sule. I believe we'll do very well in Niger State. That's Abulolo's territory, the governor of that state, where we've also done very, very well. I believe that we're going to do reasonably well in Plateau State, even though there seems to be something of a divide there, if we're to be realistic. But I believe that with the efforts of Governor Lalong, that we're going to pull through in Plateau State. You know, Kwara, again, I think we're going to do exceptionally well. Frankly speaking, you know, I really don't see, and of course, Benue State, which is an interesting place. The governor himself has not made up his mind which way he's going, but I think the people themselves, we have an excellent candidate there. Reverend Father, who is doing, I think he's a Catholic priest, he's doing so well for the governorship election, and that will also carry over to the presidential election. Bola Tinubu is exceptionally popular throughout the whole of the North Central states, substantial support in all those states, and I don't think that's an area we need to worry about. We'll win hands down there. I have no doubts about that.
But you have to worry about the Southeast, do you?
Well, I think the PDP has to worry more about the Southeast than we do. First of all, traditionally, the PDP, the stronghold of the PDP has been the Southeast. Not so anymore. We have two exceptional governors there, in Imo State and in Ebonyi State, who are doing very, very well, and who have, you know, built a broad base of support there. We also have pockets of support, strong support, in places like Enugu, where you have Senator Chimaroke Nnamani, and so on and so forth. And of course, you have this issue of the number of governors in the South State that were originally PDP or that are PDP that are now against their party, working against their party. And I can cite governors like, of course, honorable men like Ugwai, men like the one in Abia State, Ikazu, and a number of others. So right now we have about 4 or 5 states in the south. I mean, Soludo is also not too happy with the PDP or even Peter Obi. So it's very clear that we're going to do well there. Well, he's criticized Peter Obi effectively from what I saw a couple of days back. So what I'm trying to tell you is that we have made inroads in Abia, we've made inroads in Anambra, we've made inroads in Ebonyi, we've made inroads in Enugu, all of the southeast states. And PDP has lost support simply because Obi has taken their base, Obi has taken from them, Obi has deprived them of what was a traditional base for them. Outside of that, the governors from the east that are not happy, the 5 governors, I think there are 2 or 3 of them from the east, are also against them. There's no question about that, and we already have 2 governors there. So I think we're going to do very, very well, better than ever before in the southeast. So I'm pretty confident of the southeast that we'll do well. I'm confident we're going to get at least 80% of the support in the southwest. I believe we will do reasonably well in the south-south. I believe we'll do very well in the north-central. I believe in the northeast we'll take Gombe, we will take Yobe, we will take Borno State, probably share Adamawa with him. I believe we might even beat him there. Then we'll get an inroad into Taraba, we'll certainly get over 25%. So I think we're going to do well. I think the battleground, because I know that might well be your next question, will probably be the northwestern states, where again, I believe, and this is my own summation, you know, I've done a lot of research, a lot of work in this area. I believe strongly that we are going to do very well, again, because of the efforts of the governors, the loyalty of the governors, that were the ones that said power must shift to the south. When you have a governor like El Rufai in Kaduna State, we will do well there. You have a governor like Matawale Maradun in Matawale Bello, in Zamfara State. We're going to do very, very well there. This candidate has many good friends in Kanu State, and I believe Kanu will stand firm. Right. I believe we'll do well there. So I think 3, 4 states in the northwest, we're going to do very well. And when you look at all that and you aggregate it, I believe that Bola Asiwaju Tinubu will be elected President of the Federal Republic come February. By quite a margin, frankly.
Really?
Yeah. By quite a margin.
But I mean, bigger than what perhaps came as the result of 2019 election?
Far bigger, simply because the PDP is totally divided. The PDP, it's like a man that has had, excuse me to say, one of his testicles removed. 5 governors are opposed to them now. I'll say 5.5. I won't say 5, I'll say 5.5. One of the governors called me the other day. I won't mention his name on air, though I wrote about him, but I won't mention his name, and I mentioned him in what I wrote. And he expressed his disappointment with what was going on there. 5 governors are no longer with them and are fighting them openly. And it appears to me that this is something that cannot be resolved. Then Peter Obi has done the greatest damage to them by simply attracting votes in the north-central areas, which are traditionally PDP areas, places like Plateau and so on and so forth. Jang and so on are with him now. And he's taken votes from them in places like Edo, places like Delta, places like the southeast itself. So where are they going to get the support from?
The PDP is already asking your candidate to withdraw from the race. Yeah. And you are going to have a lot to contend with. You contend with convincing Nigerians at the campaign rallies, and you also have to contend with the online debate and the conversations that are, I mean, a few days ago, over the weekend, there was a fake news that came up. And I like to say, for those purveyor of another fake news that trailed that, China's television did not take that story. Yeah. And the story basically saying that your candidate has been withdrawn by the electoral umpire. The electoral umpire had said that was fake. We have INEC speak on that later on the program. But I like to say that the purveyor of fake news, on the other hand, did not handle it also well, saying, and they couldn't get their facts right to say, China's television carried the story. China's never carried the story. What China's reported was the fact that INEC has debunked that story. Sure. You are going to have all of this to contend with, isn't it, FFP?
Well, first of all, let me tell you that absolutely certain. I watch channels all the time, and I know channels didn't carry that story. I know that it was Arise TV that carried that story. I know they apologized for it, and it's something that happened. It's one of those things that happens, and it's a very, very sad event in our affairs. And I think that we have to be extremely careful what we say and what we report. But that didn't come from channels. I'm fully aware of that. What I will say, however, is this: when they say our candidate should step aside or should be disqualified or whatever, what else do you expect them to say? They're losing on all fronts. They only have one testicle left. They don't have the strength they had in 2019.
Please don't use testicle
well, it's actually part of the human anatomy.
No, it's too gross.
I'm speaking.
It's too gross for the conversation.
It's like talking about an arm. I mean, let's not.
Yeah, but
the point.
But a lot of times, the UK sensibilities may not be the same.
I've used that program on many televisions.
Yeah, but I mean, it is a family television.
The matter is that they're not the men. They are not the men they used to be.
Okay.
Let me put it in an easier way, a nicer way. Simply because they've been emaciated, they've been cut down, they've been deprived of vital parts of their body. They don't have arms, they don't have legs, they don't even have a head left, and they're just talking all kinds of rubbish, like a headless chicken. How can you say that the man that is miles ahead, that is winning in virtually every zone, that has the support of his base, virtually 90% support in his base, that is rising high, that is capable of ignoring all these distractions, and go forward to town hall meeting after town hall meeting all over the country, is launching a massive campaign tomorrow that the president is supporting, that everybody has joined hands, stakeholders all over the country, to say we are going to go forward together, who has a deputy that is in full control of Borno State and in Yobe State and the whole of the most of the northeastern zone. How can you say a man like that should step down? Well, that's the only thing they have left. Then they come up with the fake news. Oh, he was a drug dealer. I've heard people like the young man that lives abroad that nobody knows which country he's in, the David something Hundane or something like that, and another one called Reno Mokri, who I hear lives in America, and one or two here calling this man a drug dealer. A drug dealer. Simply because there was something that happened 30 years ago, a civil forfeiture of some money, which they failed to tell the truth about what really happened. That in that investigation, Bola Tinubu actually was given $1 million back after the investigation into the whole thing. $1 million was initially forfeited, and then it was given back to him after the investigation, and the balance of $400,000 or thereabouts was left simply because they said he didn't pay tax on some of the investments he has made. And that's why the $400,000 was forfeited. After that, a man by the name of Bona at the American Embassy in 1993 came out and said clearly, this man has not been indicted of anything, this man has not been convicted of anything, and he has done nothing wrong. I heard somebody on your program 2 days ago, one of the many spokesmen of the PDP, one Bwala or Daniel, or I'm not sure what his name is, a young man, very articulate young man, who sat here and said that Tinubu had been indicted. An indictment is a criminal charge as far as American law is concerned. He was not indicted of anything. He gave up some money, money was forfeited for tax reasons, $1 million was given back to him, and everything is self-explanatory, and the Americans said, he's done nothing wrong. He's been to America on several occasions after that. The American ambassador has been to his office after that during the course of this campaign to wish him well. He has strong links in America, many investments in America, then and now, and they are now calling this man a drug lord in a reckless, irresponsible, and nonsensical manner, and I think that's unacceptable. Worse still, they come out with fake news. These things you mentioned, INEC is investigating him. They were behind it. This was done by the PDP intelligence machine, which is being run, I must tell you, I won't mention his name on air, by a businessman who is very close to Atiku. He's the one behind the whole thing. We know who this man is. He's the one that pushed this rubbish out, and he's the one that fed this rubbish to the Nigerian people. And they continue to do this simply because they believe the only way they can stop this man is by lying about him, spreading disinformation about him, and trying to pull him down. Well, it doesn't work. And that's the way of the PDP. It doesn't work, and it will not work. He will continue to remain focused, to go from strength to strength, to focus on the issues, to talk about the issues, and to ensure that the Nigerian people get a better deal from next year, and we build on what Buhari has already established in this country. That's the objective, and that is what Bola Ahmed Tinubu will achieve.
What is your principal's stance on engagement? Debates and town hall engagements is channels is organizing
Yes.
is basically to allow the candidate to speak directly to Nigerians. Will he be attending any debates or presidential town halls engagement like we did yesterday?
Well, you know very well that he's been engaging in town hall meetings. He's been one in Minna, done one in Nasarawa, he's done one in Lagos, he's done one in
Those are the ones organized by yourself, by your party.
because these are discussions, the television cameras are there, everybody can see what's being said. I was at the one in Lagos, and you know, he's very good at that, and he likes to do that. Now, there's a difference between a town hall meeting, which I think a lot of Nigerians don't seem to appreciate, a town hall meeting which is televised with a number of presidential candidates or aspirants there, and a proper debate. That's a completely different ballgame entirely. A debate is a debate, and you've been doing this thing for years. We know what a debate is. We haven't had any debates yet. What we've had are town hall meetings with various presidential candidates. Some of them have not gone too well. Look at what happened with the Arise TV one, where, you know, PDP thugs and people from the other side, the obedience, Peter Obi himself, it was a slanging match, and you know, people were shouting at each other. This, of course, does not encourage us to go to places like Arise, for example. Other ones, well, he will have to make that choice himself at every point in time, and this is the kind of person he is. And I think that decision has to be left to him. We never say never to anything, but at the same time, if and when he's ready to do that, it has to be on his own terms, when he's ready, and when he feels that the atmosphere is good, the station or the people involved are people that are not biased, that are not attempting to set him up, and that he's safe. That is the most important thing. But that choice is his choice, and his choice alone. The most important thing is to be able to engage with the Nigerian people. And sometimes, you know, some candidates have this view. Not all, but some. They just go over the heads of everybody and go directly to the people, because they know very well that the important issues are not what happened 30 years ago when people are lying and saying he's a drug dealer, or things like, oh, what was his certificate, you know, where did he go to school, you know, 50, 60, 70 years ago, whatever it was, when the man had been to university and come out with flying colors and commended by his university in Chicago and so on and so forth, and you know, oh, he has no record to show when Lagos is there, and the successes that he has in Lagos, 1, 2, 3, or whatever it is, each of them have done so well. You see his legacy, you know his legacy, you know what he has achieved in the Southwest, you know what he's achieved in this country. And if not for him, this country may not even be what it is today. Why? Because he built that bridge between the North and the West, between the North and the South, when others wanted that bridge to break. And so now
your candidate is not shy away from this kind of engagement. On a final note,
he doesn't shy away from anything. I think it's just up to him. The time, you know, the terms have to be right, and I think, you know, he has to look at his schedules. I wouldn't say he's shy.
On a final note, perhaps in 30 seconds, FFK, if you can tell Nigerians that your party is willing to run this race according to the rules and play by the rules, because there are allegations of violence and the fears that are in the minds of a lot of people. The meeting that was held today about what has become a major concern for everyone, the pockets of violence that we're seeing around campaign issue and electoral activities. It doesn't all go well, does it?
The people that are perpetuating the violence, that are attacking, that are killing, and that are doing all this sort of thing are not APC. They are PDP people. They do it to one another. They do it to our own supporters. Countless of our people have been killed. Countless of our people have been maimed. Countless of our people have been threatened. Yesterday, I had a meeting with members of my directorate, over 115 of them. We met here in Abuja, and the kind of things they were telling me, threats they were receiving every day, particularly the women, and so, particularly from the PDP members, PDP and obedient members, and so on and so forth, is unconscionable. So we are the victims of this.
So your party is not threatened?
Not at all.
That this race might not go your way like it went in 2015
we don't
2019.
feel in the least bit threatened, despite the threats of violence, the threat to life, despite all these things. We don't feel in the least bit threatened. We are focused, we're clear, we have a good candidate, and we shall prevail.
Chief Fani-Kayode, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I wish you and your party the very best.
Thanks so much.
As you begin your campaign flag of tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Shalom. Thank you.